Hello everyone, it's Jake and Will with Mayhem, and we're here to review Avengers Endgame. If you didn't see Infinity War, spoilers for that movie, after Thanos got all the stones and snapped his fingers, half of humanity got dusted, and now we are with the remaining Avengers, and we have to fight him back. We have to see what we can do to stop Thanos. That's kind of all we can really say. I mean, from the trailer, you know some things, but really they managed to really keep everything secret.
All you know is that, like, Ant-Man's going to show up, and Captain Marvel's going to show up at some point.
That's it. And then for some of it, Tony's stuck in space. That's about it. Without giving any spoilers, before we get into spoilers, because this is a much bigger discussion once we can get into spoilers, but without giving spoilers...
3-hour-long movie just chock full of... so much.
Everything.
Everything is a spoiler.
Yeah, pretty much. And especially when the trailer shows you none of that. First, reactions without giving anything away. What did you think of Endgame?
I think that this is the peak of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Just the two movies of Infinity War and Endgame together. I think that's just, I don't know if they can ever top that. Just the build up over all these years, the villain, the character interactions.
It's the end of the story, and while the story will continue, this first part of it is done. And I honestly, just me personally, I would be okay with them just being done here. But you know it's going to continue. They just did such a fantastic job with this movie. It's like, you see this movie on paper and you're like, none of this should work. Like, this and Infinity War, you're like, none of this should work. This seems like a bloated mess. But they managed, the Russo brothers and the writers, managed to just make it flow and work so well. Yeah, and it's perfect.
Because it's about the characters this time. It's not just about action set pieces. There really isn't that much action until the final act of the movie. Yeah. Which is, in my opinion, is a great choice. Because throughout the whole beginning and middle of the movie, you're just spending this time with these characters and how they're dealing with the aftermath of Infinity War and their relationships, and then at the end it's just the most spectacular action scene ever.
Yeah, it's pretty
there's
amazing.
So many great moments in there. Those fight scenes top even Infinity War, and those had amazing fight scenes. And it's, for some people, if you haven't watched at least almost all of these movies, you might be lost for whole scenes at a time.
Yeah, there are only a few movies I think you could skip out on totally. Only a few. A lot of these movies come into play and they're pretty important. You need to know where all these characters are at the time of this movie beginning, and I think it's crucial to watch a lot of these movies. If you are just a casual Marvel fan, do your homework before you see this movie. Because a lot of it comes into play, and there are some deep cut references that, you won't know and you won't appreciate if you're not an avid fan of this stuff. Me personally, I think I caught everything. I really was able to appreciate all of the fan service in this movie. Everyone making this movie is just a love letter, and you really feel like they're making this movie for us.
You can feel the love for these characters, for the fans, for the whole universe, both the comics and the movies. And it's such a good ride.
It just felt like everybody was on just their A game making this movie. Everybody was just firing on all cylinders, it felt like. I felt like all the actors in this movie, all the directors, the writers, everyone was just coming here to play, and they did a fantastic job, and I can't praise Endgame enough for that, because honestly I was I don't want to get my expectations too high, because I'm just going to be disappointed. And I thought Infinity War was fantastic, and I was I don't know if Endgame will be able to top it, but in my personal opinion, I think Endgame is fantastic, and I think it's my favorite MCU movie to date. I've got to see it a few more times, but I really liked it. I think the runtime is perfect, and it might be too long for some, but...
I don't think you can take out a scene in this movie. It's just, every scene is important. You ever watch a movie and it's okay, this scene doesn't need to be there.
And they earn the runtime, even if there are scenes that drag. They've earned it, because you want to stick with these characters for 3 hours, because you want to stick with them for this whole time, because it's...
You love these characters.
Yeah, and this is the end of this current arc. This is the end of this Infinity Saga. This is the last movie for that. And you want to be there as long as you can, and it's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely this is the new Star Wars.
Yeah, for sure. This entire Marvel Cinematic Universe is the younger generation Star Wars. People are going to grow up with this and show this to their kids and stuff. So I guess we have to get into spoilers now.
Oh, yeah.
Where we will be able to talk in depth about everything. So if you have not yet seen Avengers Endgame, please leave, because there are a lot of leaks happening. And I'm sure a lot of people have already seen it, but if you have not yet seen it, leave and go watch it, and then come back and watch the spoiler half of this. But for now, really just go see it.
What are we talking about first?
I have no idea.
Time travel. Time travel is how they...
Yeah, that's how they're able to do it. I saw a lot of people online saying, I hope they don't, just introduce some new stupid thing, and it's not set up within the other movies. But I like that, the quantum realm
they
had
took
a big part
stuff
to play.
from Ant-Man.
Which is great, because nobody really saw that movie, so now it forces everybody to go watch it. which is fantastic. Yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp, all that technology, the quantum realm stuff, is very present in this movie, and I'm glad that Ant-Man had so much play, because, you know, I really like Paul Rudd, and I'm glad that he had some fun with this.
Ant-Man, even though it's not Paul Rudd's version of Ant-Man, like, Ant-Man was a founding member of the Avengers in the original comic, so it's nice that he actually plays like a meaty role in this film, and he's really important. And his side of the universe is what ends up pretty much saving the day in the end.
Yeah, I guess we could really dive into the plot, though. Essentially, what they want to do with to reverse everything is they want to go back and find the stones before Thanos gets them. So they go back in time to where previous stones were held. So in the first Avengers movie, where the time, space, and Mind Stone are all in New York. And then from Thor: The Dark World, the Reality Stone, the Ether, the
Soul Stone on
Vormir, which was set up in Infinity War, and what was the last one?
Power Stone.
Power Stone on Morag. Morag, where Quill got it in the first Guardians. They have to go to all of these locations and pick up the stones. So that was really cool. So basically, with the beginning of this movie,
it's a time heist.
It's a time heist,
as Ant-Man says.
Yeah, he says a lot. It's pretty funny. But essentially, with in the beginning of the movie, Captain Marvel shows up, saves Tony and Nebula in space.
Yeah, the after credits scene from Captain Marvel happens before
the actual movie.
Yeah, so they don't. I figured they were going to re-show the end credit scene.
That's
from
what
Captain
I kind of thought
Marvel,
was going to happen,
because they've done that before, like with Civil War and
right.
Ant-Man. They showed like a whole scene from Civil War. So that happens. She saves Tony, brings down to Earth. Then they quickly realize, like, okay, Thanos is on this planet somewhere.
Alone.
Yeah, alone.
Let's
take the fight back to him and just do whatever we can to stop him. But they build up that he had used the stones on that planet for something, we don't know what. Then they show up and he's all beaten up and like
just chilling now. He's just like, I'm done. Like, this is it for me.
And then he reveals that that Thanos destroyed the stones in order to seal the deal. Like, nobody can undo this now. That's a pretty big deal.
There is no hope now.
Yeah.
And Thor just kills him.
Yeah,
Thor just chops his head off.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. And I don't know about your audience, but when it said 5 years later, everybody was like, holy shit. Like, it's like, so it's been that long and there's just no hope. Like, and so, we cut to 5 years later and a lot of these characters have changed. Black Widow is now, like, leading this, I guess, smaller group of Avengers where they're doing little things around. I don't really know what's going on there.
Leading,
yeah, and she has, like, this own little, like, task force. Just heading up different areas of the world, trying to like help people move on and grieve, and then Captain America obviously with the support group.
Yeah, and they now have like connections in space because of Rocket and Captain Marvel
and Nebula. Yeah, and they're all there doing their own thing in space. So then obviously
Ant-Man
shows up.
Yeah.
Ant-Man gets out of the quantum realm. A rat presses the controls, and then he comes out of the quantum realm.
Yeah, where he was stuck for the past 5 years.
Yes, except for him, it was 5 hours. So time works differently in the quantum realm. And so he gets out of the quantum realm, and then he shows up at the Avengers compound. You saw this in the trailer. He shows up there, pitches this idea of why don't we try to do this time travel thing, because there's pockets in the quantum realm where we can maybe make it work to where we end up somewhere else. So they try it, and they get the old band back together, which I felt very reminiscent of the first Avengers from that, where they're like going to get Hulk back. They're going to get Thor and Tony. Tony wants nothing to do with it.
Now we could talk about like where these characters are now at that point. So like Hulk has fully merged with
Bruce
Banner,
and
which I wish we could have seen that happen instead of it happening in between the 5 years. I wish we had that conversation where Banner was like, you know what, like we gotta like work together on this now and just become one and get over it. Because one thing that was so nice, like I felt happy seeing Hulk like not being like this depressing thing. Like it seemed like they had really gotten over their issues, like Hulk and Banner, because he seemed to be happy that he's like this big superhero taking pictures with kids.
And then Thor, which I've already seen a lot of mixed things online about this. Thor is a drunken fat guy, and so he just hangs out in New Asgard with Korg and Meek, which I'm very happy to see, and Valkyrie,
too, which is nice.
So Korg and Meek are just playing Fortnite, just hanging out, and then Thor is just drinking all the time and he's fat, and so I've already seen a lot of people being like, this is like the Luke Skywalker thing all over again, where it's like you've taken this character and just run him to the ground. But I think there's a lot more here,
because he literally feels responsible for the death of half.
There's a lot of guilt there. There's a lot of guilt.
Yeah, he's messed up. So he was at his peak at the end of Infinity War, and then when he gets to kill Thanos, but it doesn't
work out for him.
Give him any satisfaction that he killed Thanos.
Yeah, because by then it was too late.
Yeah, so seeing him, like, a part of me didn't really like it that much either.
at first.
But there is a kind of a visual aesthetic of like this fat like Viking like warrior that like it actually kind of works for his character, and he's kind of evolving a little bit more into Odin. Like I wish he kept the eye patch and he didn't get the new eye, because if he had the eye patch and the beer belly, it would actually like have a really cool aesthetic to him. But yeah, it was weird. I didn't really like that he was kind of like the butt of a joke. Like, I feel like they could have maybe played it more serious, the fact that he was upset, instead it was kind of more funny.
At times you really get that, and he's like, you know, I didn't get to... As soon as, like, Hulk says Thanos, he's like, you don't say that name, and it's like, it gets really serious and sad. Because he messed up. And so, I like that. I like that they were able to just switch it, but, like, and it wasn't played for laughs the whole time. But a lot of it was played for laughs, and I wasn't 100% into it, but...
But by the end, when he, like, suits up, it's like, you're awesome. You're all in on him.
It's awesome. And I like the fat Thor by the end of it.
He'll probably lose some weight.
Yeah.
Later, anyway.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think Chris Hemsworth wants to be wearing a fat suit. Like, Thor is my favorite character now. Like, he's the best. Like, they managed to, like, throughout, like, from Ragnarok until now, Thor has just gotten so cool. Like, I love Thor. And so, like, you start with Ragnarok, he gets everything taken away from him, really. And then Infinity War, he gets even more taken away. And then he's just this tragic hero. And then by the end of Infinity War, he has this chance of redemption and win, and then he messes it up, and then in Endgame he gets to do it, and he gets to kill him, and then it just does nothing for him because it's too late and he can't do anything. Just becomes this mess, and so now he's such
a really depressing story. Like he might have it the worst out of any
for sure.
Tony Stark as a kid.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Because they brought it up in Infinity War that he wanted a kid, or was it that he had, like, a dream? He had a dream that he was going to have a kid. So we figured that was going to actually happen in this.
He really wants nothing to do with this mission. He wants, at first, he's like, time travel, it's dumb, it's not going to work out, I don't want to do it.
It's too dangerous, too. He doesn't
what
want to
I've
lose
built
anything.
Here is too good to be taken away.
Which is a great idea for like him just being like, you know what, like the past, we got to move on. Like this tragedy that happened is just like, we can't do anything about it. We beat Thanos, but we can't undo what he did.
Yeah. But then he figures out a solution.
Because like, he looks at a picture of him and Peter, and then he's just like, shit,
God damn it. He's like, I hate being sad. Yeah. And then so, you know, he figures out a way to make it work, and then...
Which is, it's actually kind of funny how he's just like, overnight, he's like, oh, time travel, I figured it out.
Yeah, that was a little fast.
But all he needed to know was like, about the Pym particles, I think, was the idea, was like, all you needed to tell him was
and
like...
it works, yeah. They go back in time. They go back to the previous movies, as we mentioned. And so Hawkeye and Black Widow go to Vormir to get the Soul Stone. War Machine and Nebula go to Morag to get this Power Stone. Ant-Man, Hulk, Captain America, and Iron Man go to New York in 2012 to get the Time, Mind, and Space Stone.
Something happens where they end up missing the Space Stone, so
they have to go back to the that's right.
Further. Because they end up screwing something up, and then Loki ends up with the Space Stone and then disappears, and then I guess that's where the Loki
TV
Disney
series
Plus
is gonna go.
show might pick up with that, because they never explain like what happened to Loki after that. I was expecting more action there, but it was more of like, it was actually just funny.
It was a lot of fun. I really liked it. Just going cool heist movie. Yeah.
What's funny is like you're looking at different angles of the same scenes from the original Avengers,
so cool.
And then like the in between stuff where it's like, all right, now they all have to get in an elevator and go.
And they're just hanging out.
Like that's stuff that you wouldn't see in a movie because it's like unnecessary. But it's like, all right, now we're gonna go in the elevator.
Behind the scenes.
And then and then it's like, all right, but Hulk can't go in an elevator, and he gets all mad.
Takes the stairs, and he's like, God damn.
There's so many stairs.
And then they go to the lobby, and then there's Robert Redford, Alexander Pierce from Winter Soldier, who they got to do a cameo, and he's there. He's like, I want this. Give me the cube, you know, Odin can have whatever he wants when you guys get back, but I need that. And then they managed to, like, look the same. Like, Thor looks like Thor from Avengers, and Loki looks like Loki from Avengers, and everybody looks the same. And it was really cool, and I live for that stuff. Like, whatever you do with that, it's always the coolest thing. There's a lot of TV shows that have done this, and I just thought it was so cool here because it's such a bigger scale. I loved it. And
there's a great scene where Captain America bumps into himself, and then
he thinks
Captain America from 2012 thinks that it's Loki, and so they're fighting, and that was a great scene.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And then, like, you know, they need to fight for the scepter, and then he manages to get past version of Captain America off of him by saying, you know, Bucky's alive.
Yeah, then he hits him with the scepter.
With the Mind Stone,
his mind. Because they screwed up, that means they have to go back in time even further to the 70s where
Howard Stark and Hank Pym are. And so the reason
that's where the Tesseract is in the past there.
They only have one more Pym particle thing left to make one more jump, and they decide to go back there because there's a very good chance that the Pym particles are there as well as the cube. So they go back there, and then there's this great moment with Tony and Howard, and also another great moment with Peggy and Steve, And that I like that whole scene a lot. And then we got our Stan Lee cameo there as well, where he's like the 70s kind of like hipster guy. Potentially final cameo. We don't know his situation yet. But hopefully he's going to be in Spider-Man. I'm not sure.
Another scene that's driven by like these character moments where it's like Iron Man gets to talk to his father, which he hasn't been able to do. He gets to really say goodbye to his father.
It was so great because he's just like in the elevator with him and he's just like, I have a daughter. Like you could tell that he's kind of like, I'm your son and I want to, like, your grandfather. Like it's kind of cool. And like that was just such a great moment because then he's like his father is asking him about like father advice. Like because, you know, his mother, the wife is pregnant with Tony. He's like, were you ready to have a kid? And he's like, no, not at all. He's like, I have no idea what I was doing. He's like, I just kind of made it up as I went along.
I think it's sad when you see like Captain America walks into a room and then he sees through like the window Peggy in the other room and he's just like kind of staring for a little bit. I bet he was thinking like, can I just stay here? Can I just like not?
And that sets up for the ending, which we'll get to. Yeah, we've got to touch on Vormir. Hawkeye and Black Widow go to Vormir, and as you know, Red Skull is there ready to...
Soul for a soul.
Soul for a soul. The convenient thing comes in here where Hawkeye and Black Widow conveniently got to go there. If it was like War Machine and Nebula or like, Hulk and Ant-Man, it's like...
Who are they going to sacrifice? Like,
exactly.
That wouldn't work, but...
exactly.
Yeah, that was a rough scene.
That was tough, yeah.
Because they're fighting each other because they want to sacrifice the other person.
Yeah.
Or they want to sacrifice themselves for the other person.
Yes. To get the stone.
And yeah, that's rough, man. Like when Hawkeye's like hanging off the cliff.
He's like, damn you. He's just like...
Yeah, and it's like he can't hold himself and her, and then she wills herself off, and Black Widow sacrifices herself.
Yep,
so
the
that
Soul Stone.
Hawkeye can get the Soul Stone, and I really was not expecting that because I know she was getting a solo film, which we heard was going to take place in the past, so it left it open.
Yeah.
But I figured it was going to be like Wonder Woman, where it like starts in the beginning with like her in the present, and I thought they were going to try to keep their roster of female heroes up. I was thinking like behind the scenes wise, like they might want to keep her for, they have that more female characters, but they killed her off.
Well, now, I mean, I didn't realize how many female characters we actually have
until
that moment.
That one shot where there's like 50 of them. I was like, oh gosh, I didn't even realize
so now,
that many up.
With Black Widow, which is kind of like a great, like, it's bittersweet, obviously, but Black Widow was really the first. And so that was, and I know Captain Marvel 90s, but chronologically, when the movies came out, Black Widow was the first female superhero, Avenger, all that, and she wasn't able to be in this big team-up moment at the end of the movie. Which is sad, but like it's also like she was the first, so now she paved the way for these other ones, and that was great. I really love that moment.
And she's of course incredibly important in taking down Thanos, even though she couldn't punch him in the face. No. Her sacrifice still leads to the defeat of Thanos.
Exactly, and
there's still a purpose. She still had something to do in the movie.
And while she can't undo, and while like the Gamora thing was like tragic, this one was like
it's tragic in a whole different way.
Yeah, but it's like
Gamora's like her father's dragging her across to throw her off the edge, and you feel bad for both of them in that scene, and then you also feel bad for both of them with Black Widow and Hawkeye because they want to save the other from.
Yeah, it was great for them to focus on the core six again. It was great for that, and I just love how like we've come a long way since Budapest in space. It's like it's just crazy. And it's great.
A villain starts to show up because for the whole first half of the movie, it's like Thanos died, so now it's just them trying to get the stones back. So there isn't really a villain.
Time is the villain.
Nebula somehow going back in time.
All right.
Two people being in the same place at the same time.
They were in the same Wi-Fi connection. That's kind of what it was. That's exactly like that was a joke, but yeah. But like they were like Ebony Maw has a line where he says something like they're both on the same network, and because there's two of her, and so like they were able to like sync up, and like her footage was like so then they
So the evil Nebula from 2014. Kind of starts to sync with the good Nebula.
Yeah, and so she's getting footage of like War Machine, like, all right, let's go get the Power Stone, and then like
so then Thanos finds this out, and he's like, oh well, I gotta stomp this out.
He's like, this is something that I'm trying to do, and then in the future I actually succeed, so let me stop this while I can, so then I can actually fulfill my destiny. And this is where it gets very complicated.
That's where it gets a little confusing.
Yeah, and so that's what's happening now. So Thanos like goes after for the stones now. Evil Nebula actually takes the place of good Nebula and comes back
to the present.
Yes.
When everybody gets all the stones.
With all the Avengers, and then she's able to let Thanos come
through the
to
portal.
Her. Yes.
So they get all the stones together. They create their own gauntlet.
Which was, a little bit much. Because in Infinity War, he's going to Nidavellir.
Oh yeah, they had to go somewhere
to get like an amazing gauntlet from the heart of a dying star, and then Tony's able to just make one.
But they didn't really. That doesn't really matter
That's
that much. Iron Man could make like a really super strong thing.
Yeah, so he does that.
So Hulk ends up being the one to put it on because he's the strongest.
And also, it's
the most mentally stable at the moment, ironically, because even though he's the Hulk. But yeah,
that's the funny thing. Yeah, and it still fucks him up. Like it still like burns his whole like.
Yeah, at the end of the movie, he has like a
cast on. Yeah,
he's the Hulk. He should have like really good regeneration, and he's still like, oh
damn. And so he snaps his fingers and brings everyone back. And so,
but we don't see that happen. We just see him snap his fingers, and
Hawkeye gets a call from his wife.
Yeah.
So that was the first tell.
The whole Avengers.
Thanos just destroys this Avengers headquarters.
Obliterated, which is such an amazing scene. Like Ant-Man's like, I think we did it. He's looking outside. It's a beautiful thing, and it's just like boom, and he just
flies back. And and then there's like Hulk lying on the ground, and it's just silence, and you see the shadow come over, and he just looks up. It's like, oh, and then there's like a ship, and the beam comes down, and they just get wrecked. Like the whole thing gets wrecked.
You get probably the greatest like fight scene in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man teaming up to get Thanos down, and then Captain America does something cool, picks up
Thor's hammer.
Yep, which he brought back from the events of Thor: The Dark World.
Oh yeah, we skipped over that. Yeah. That's another thing that happened.
Captain America picks up the hammer and he just goes to town with it, and it's amazing. Set up for Age of Ultron.
We've been waiting for that for so long.
It was so good, so amazing.
But then eventually Thanos ends up breaking
the shield. Which was like from the Age of Ultron.
Yeah, that's right.
Flash.
Which was weird. I guess his sword thing might be made out of vibranium, because vibranium's from space. Like it just came down from. It would make sense that his sword was made out of that. Maybe. Which is why he was able to break his shield, because nothing else has been strong enough to do that besides vibranium. Because like Black Panther could scratch it.
That's right.
So that would make sense. But it's never really explicitly said. Because if it's just that he's that strong that he could just and then break his shield, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Because he's not even using any of the stones.
Right, exactly.
During this whole fight.
Thanos is just crazy good.
This is just Thanos just being Thanos. Like
this is really strong and intense and scary. Captain America, everything's against him. Thanos' army is coming.
Everybody else is knocked out.
Yep, he's got half a shield, and he gets up, and he just is ready to face.
That's probably my favorite shot in the movie.
That was fantastic, yeah.
Is Captain America by himself walking over, and it's really reminiscent of a scene from the Infinity Gauntlet storyline where he's the last one standing against Thanos.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what they were trying to evoke.
Probably.
And then it's just
you just hear Cap, and it just starts cutting out, and then Cap on your left, and then all the Doctor Strange portals open up, and then
that's the moment we've been waiting for. It feels like it's been way longer than just a year since everybody died.
Yeah.
Because there was, the 2 movies in between, so it
and that's the benefit of this movie taking its time getting going, because then you feel like, damn, like it's been such a long time since we've seen these people. They really
hammer in like it's been 5 years, everybody's been dead.
So that's why people are complaining about the slow pace, but it's like, no, it's just...
You needed that to really understand the depth of the situation.
Just to spend time and just be sad with these characters, and then it's just that much more, amazing when they get all that back and they're able to restore the universe and fix the situation, and it was amazing. And you see all these characters come back, and there's a lot of just awesome interactions. There's so many just little character interactions that set up from previous movies. You have the Clint and Black Panther moment where he's like, Clint, and then in Civil War he's like, I don't care what your name is. And then the Wasp and Ant-Man, and Wasp was like, sure, Cap. And then they're like, ah, and then he's like, you got mad at me when I said Cap last time. There's so many just little interactions that just set up in previous
Spider-Man
movies.
doing the instant kill,
yeah.
And then Captain Marvel remembers that she's also in the movie.
Right. And shows up again and just goes to town on that ship.
I was kind of confused. Something happens where she grabs the gauntlet, because Thanos gets the gauntlet, he puts it on.
Yes.
And then
he's about to snap.
Yeah, he's about to snap, and then she grabs his hand, and then for some reason it seems like
she's like bending it.
Yeah, like she's like overpowering the gauntlet, and I was like, what? And then he pulls off the power stone from the gauntlet and then punches her in the face with the hand with the power stone.
Yeah.
And that overpowers her. So I think maybe because her powers came from the space stone, that maybe she was manipulating it the same way that like Scarlet Witch was able to manipulate blowing up the Mind Stone from Vision.
That's right.
I think that's kind of what they were doing there. They didn't really explain, because I doubt it was just her sheer strength was able to hold back. Like, I mean, then again, Thor was able to do that with Stonebreaker, but who knows? Iron Man in the end,
he gets the stones out of the gauntlet, and he, and then he gets them. And they're kind of cool. They roll up on him. That's pretty cool.
He's using this like the nanotech.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then he's he throughout the movie Thanos is saying, "I am inevitable, I am inevitable," and then he goes, "No, I am Iron Man," and he snaps and he just wipes out Thanos and his army, and
then Thanos fades away.
Yep, he gets turned to dust. And it's like, this is what you wanted, you little bitch. Obviously, the Hulk got burned to shit, so obviously Iron Man's gonna die from this. So the saddest moment in the movie plays out where, you know, Pepper's like, you know, it's okay. You can rest now.
Yeah, because for so many years he's just been trying to protect everybody.
And then earlier in the movie, and this benefits with the rewatch, they're sitting there talking about doing the time travel thing, and Tony says to her, like, I could do this. I could put a pin in this right now. Mm. And he's like, and we could just go to bed. And she's like, yeah, but will you rest? And so I'm like, God damn it. Like, when I saw it again, I'm like, this shit, man. I'm like, this is great. And then she says, you know, we're all fine now. Like, everybody's fine. We're all in this, like, all the Avengers are back together. You can rest. And I'm like, this is really goddamn depressing.
That's rough.
And then it's just quiet for a while, and then she's just sobbing, and then his little arc fades out, and you're like, shit. And then it's just, that was so sad. And then it cuts, and, you know, he has a funeral, and everybody is there for him.
I think that was one of the shots where they didn't have all the actors that day.
Oh, you think so?
Because I don't know, maybe it was 3D glasses, like, messing with it, but I felt like people were, like, not really there. Like, I could tell, like, Benedict Cumberbatch was like,
really?
like I don't know.
Man.
Remember, like, in Infinity War where Bruce Banner is in the Hulkbuster and he pulls off, like, the helmet, and his head just does not look like it's actually there. Yeah. I felt like that with at least several people there. I could be wrong.
I hope you're wrong. It's just such a nice moment because, like, throughout these movies, nobody's been on the same page, and like throughout, like, for the last couple especially, where it's like nobody has been together, everybody's been separate. We haven't really seen the Avengers be a team, and it really felt like in that moment, like, everybody's back, and, like, you know,
Avengers Assemble.
Avengers Assemble. Finally, when he said that was amazing.
Yeah. All the closure for everybody.
It was fantastic.
Thor goes off. Thor actually gives Valkyrie he says Valkyrie, like, you can rule Asgard.
So she is now the
queen of Asgard.
Yeah, of New Asgard. Yeah. And so she's doing that while he is just
going off with the Guardians.
So he's probably going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is really exciting.
That's awesome.
I love that. And there's a lot of speculation about that because he just played off so well with Groot and Rocket in Infinity War, and then in this movie he has a lot more interaction with Rocket too. It's so, like, I can't wait to see that movie. Just from that one interaction with him and Star-Lord at the end, you're like, this movie's going to be great. Like, he's just like, of course. You're the ruler, of course. It's, like, so funny. And so, like, I love that. Yeah, I'm really hyped for that.
And you know what's funny too is that, like, the way that they're talking about Thor at the beginning of Infinity War when he meets the Guardians, and it's like,
you're one sandwich away from being fat, and then
he's like, now Thor is the fat one.
It's so great.
Yeah, that's so great. Really subtle humor there. Because they don't actually. I thought they were gonna make that joke. They were gonna make a callback, but no, it's like a very subtle. Like, if you're paying attention, like, this is.
It's so
funny.
good. It's so good. I love that. Yeah. So then we get our moment with Captain America, because, you know, Chris Evans is done. He doesn't want to do this anymore. So I was wondering, like, he's still kind of there. Like, what's going to happen here? He's alive, he's well. What are we going to do? He's tasked with bringing the stones back to the exact moment, you know, to their timelines, because then it'll screw things up. And so
they don't put them back. Right.
And so he does that and just doesn't come back. They look over and there's this guy just sitting on the bench, and they go over and it's just this old man, and it's Steve.
Old Chris Evans.
Old Chris Evans. And
he bestows the mantle of Captain America to Sam.
Yep.
The Falcon.
So Falcon is now the new Captain America, and he decided to just stick around and just try some of that life thing.
Yeah, he went back in time and stayed with Peggy.
And it was so great. It was so good.
Yeah, because they've been really, like, referencing that, like, Peggy was his true love, and, like, that was just this thing that was stolen from him. Yeah. Like, Age of Ultron has that scene where he has the vision where he's, you know, about to dance with her, and, like every time he's always looking at the picture of her.
Yeah. And it's just, and then it just pays off with them being able to live this life together. And then the movie ends with this, you know, old song playing with them dancing in the living room, and then it just ends.
That was the best way they could have possibly ended this movie.
It was great.
To me, that was, like, the most emotional to me, because I fell in love with the character Captain America over the course of, like, these movies. Like, I loved First Avenger when that came out, and then ever since then,
his movies just got better.
His development and what he's been through, like, I really like that character.
It just felt like in this movie, especially like these last 10 years, it felt like Tony and Steve were on these journeys together. It felt like they both closed so wonderfully, perfectly. Tony, who just can't give up and can't stop being a hero, dies, and that suit of armor around the world that he wanted, it's right in front of him, it's his team, and he made that. And then Captain America, who is just the man out of time forever, doesn't know a world without a war, and he always wants to have a fight, And by the end of it, he's just like, you know what? I'm just going to settle down and have a life. He's able to grow old and probably die on his own terms.
Because he fought the biggest battle he could ever fight.
Exactly.
So he probably figured, you know what, there's all these other Avengers. There's this lady from space that could punch planets in half.
He's like, I don't need to be here done. Now. Yeah, I can just live the way I wanted to and go back and have a life with my love. And so that was great.
That's his reward for all the crap he's been through.
That was Avengers Endgame. That's everything.
This movie is like a huge achievement, storytelling of like all these characters. Like never have I seen. Back when the first Avengers came out, I was like, wow, like they were able to juggle so many different characters, and now it's like twice as many characters that they're juggling, and it's
we were like, are they going to make it work with 6 main characters? And now it's like, are they going to make it work with like 19? Like,
and it works. But nitpicks here, I guess, is I think that Thanos was a little underwhelming in this movie.
I agree.
I think that's because Thanos was my favorite aspect of Infinity War, and I wanted to see where his character was going to continue. I guess it turns out his character arc was done at the end of Infinity War, and there was nowhere to go with him because they kill him off at the beginning. And the Thanos you see for the rest of the movie isn't the same Thanos. It's the Thanos that didn't go through all the things that you liked about him in the first one. You know, he didn't have to sacrifice Gamora in that tear-jerking scene where he has to kill his own daughter.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't go through that journey of getting the Infinity Stones. That satisfying journey. You know, like that was his character arc.
Yeah.
And this Thanos that we have is just big, strong guy who wants to take over the world. Like he isn't the same character. He doesn't have the same connection with all these characters because he didn't fight Iron Man yet. I wanted a rematch between Iron Man and Thanos, but technically it's not a rematch because it's the first time he's ever fought Iron Man.
I agree.
And he does, like, I get that they wanted to focus more on the actual Avengers, so that makes sense.
It was Thanos' movie last time. This is their movie.
Yeah, it just, I do feel like I also wish that he stayed alive. Like I wish, like not like escape, but like I wish like Tony was like, and now you have to suffer with like losing, and like sends him some like in a dimension where he's locked up forever or something.
That would have been fun.
Where you could just be like, he could show up later because we still are going to be making movies for 10 years. You know, like
we might not have a very compelling villain in the future.
Yeah, like there's the only other character I could think of was Doctor Doom when they eventually start
doing
Galactus,
stuff. But
that's it. So I feel like they should have kept them there, but that's a nitpick. But seeing Thanos like look around at everything fading away, and it's just the irony of that, and like he comes to this terms like, oh crap, I'm dead now. Yeah, he just kind of, he doesn't even say anything. He's like, oh.
He's just sitting there like.
The second issue is, I think time travel is an overly complicated plot that, like, I'm sure if we looked at it, there'd be like a million plot holes. I don't even want to think about it, and that's kind of sad because I feel like every other movie is pretty straightforward, and it doesn't rely on.
You about Marvel or time travel movies?
Oh no, like Marvel movies.
Okay,
like I feel like they're all straightforward and very simple, you know. And also another nitpick as a huge fan of like the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, the Infinity Stones don't actually really do anything in these movies, or in Endgame. Because in Infinity War, there's all sorts of crazy visuals. With Thanos with the gauntlet, like warping reality, throwing the moon at them and stuff like that. Like I thought that was just the tip of the iceberg, and I thought we were going to see even more crazy stuff in Endgame. They never do anything. Other than that, there really isn't much else. It was just that, because like Thanos was just my favorite character in Infinity War, I thought he got a little bit shafted here. And then the Infinity Stones didn't really do much of anything, though they are still around.
They're important. They're
still around. They're left back. They got put back in the timeline. I thought that this movie was going to end with them being destroyed again or something. So that you wouldn't have.
Kind of wish they were destroyed.
Yeah, but
I was kind of over this.
We never even really did anything with the Soul Stone. You know what I mean? Like you never even got to see what that was gonna do. So I think they're kind of holding on to that because Adam Warlock is going to be in Guardians, and he's very well known for having the Soul Stone. So they might. And also, there's a whole thing with Gamora and the Soul Stone. So they might have a scene where, even though Gamora was brought back to life, technically because of the time travel stuff, the 2014 Gamora came back, but she doesn't have a relationship with Star-Lord.
Yeah. So the movie's gonna be like them trying to win her back over, I'm sure.
Yeah. So there might be a scene I could easily see it where Quill gets. Talks to the original Gamora and who's in the Soul Stone or something like that. I could see that happening. It's an amazing movie. I think I like Infinity War just a a little bit more, just a little bit more. I like the pacing and the character interactions in that a lot. Though obviously I've only seen Endgame once, it'll take more viewings to really properly appreciate everything because there's so much in that movie.
It's what the Russos pull off here, and the writers Marcus and McFeely have really just managed to just pull off something that's just unprecedented. And like these two movies just back to back like this is just unreal, because now we have this like 6-hour experience, this amazing story, and they made it work better than I could have even imagined, and I'm shocked that they pulled it off. They managed to do such a great job, and I cannot wait to see the future, but also like I love what we have, and I'm glad that there was no end credit scene.
That was an interesting choice. I thought they were probably gonna like jam pack the credits with like, and then this movie, and then this movie, and then this movie, but no.
Glad they didn't. There's a lot of finality here, and it's fantastic. And so that's our review of Avengers Endgame. What did you guys think? Comment down below, let us know. Are you excited for the next 10 years of Marvel? So subscribe and stay tuned for more videos, and thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Goodbye.